Good morning, everyone. This is your this is your host, Avi Kaushik. And if you're just joining us, we have about 54 participants. Um, Definitely not, we have not reached our goal of at least 100 participants on this call. So make sure you are reaching out to your teammates and letting them know that we have a very, very well-known, well-informed, and somebody that I looked up to. Our speaker for today is Mr. Christion Sadler. Now, before getting started with Renatus, Christion was actually in quite a bit of financial scarcity. He was working a daily wage job in steel fabrication and had heard about real estate and the wealth opportunity that real estate investing could generate for him. Back then, this was about, over 14 years ago, he had heard about, he had started attending different guru events and really felt after a while like he was just spinning his wheels. And then one day he found Renatus, started getting around people he wanted to be like, showing up early, staying late, and helping out wherever he could. And because of his tenacity and his persistence, he has now been in the real estate business for over 14 years, has done multiple real estate transactions that have netted over 6 figures. He's a marketing leader, a PIT team member, one of the founding members of Team Elevate. And I really look up to Christion because he is a producer. And we are just very fortunate to have Christion with us here today. So without further delay, I'd like to bring Mr. Christion Sadler on the line. Good morning, Christion. How are you today?
I am great, Abby. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. Well, I want to say thank you to you, Abby, for everything that you do in serving this team and getting these morning calls going, along with everything you do behind the scenes, because I know there's a lot of things that you're doing. I see you constantly showing up early, staying late, making sure that you're available, both in local opportunities and on a national scale with opportunities like this. So this thing only runs with the power of all of us working together. And Abby, I'm really grateful for you and how you contribute to this team. So folks, let's jump into it today. It's a beautiful Thursday, and I'm excited for the day, ready to get things moving. And today I started my day with researching billionaires. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I oftentimes find myself looking at the example set by others, because that's really how success is built, is you find out how other people have become successful and you follow their lead. I mean, that's really what we've built with Renatus, as far as with the instructors and being able to go through that way. And so overall, yeah, I just look at it as I want to follow people who have achieved much greater than even I am shooting for. And so oftentimes I find myself researching billionaires. And the billionaire that I was researching today, his name is Ray Dalio. And Ray is a hedge fund manager, multi-billionaire. He's also a very big philanthropist. And that's the thing, is I like to look at beyond, the financial aspect of the success somebody has had. I want to see, are they making a positive impact in the world, right? We all know that there's examples of people out there that have been successful, or even, maybe not been successful, but have inherited a certain amount of cash as far as money is concerned. So they hold wealth, but they haven't necessarily used that in a positive direction. So I like to look at people who have used their money in a positive direction and look at some of the principles that they use. And I actually came up with, and I found an outline of some of the top principles that Ray Dalio uses. And I'd like to share some of those with you guys today as we jump into today's training. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Go with the whiteboard, and we're going to write some stuff out today. So let me just move my controls a little bit. Get this out of the way. All right, perfect. So let's get into this. His first principle, again, we're talking about Ray Dalio, as he says, embrace reality and deal with it. So embrace reality and deal with it. Now, the interesting thing about this is when you look at what he talks about reality, he actually says to be a hyper-realist. A hyper-realist. And what that means is, the way that he defines it is he says dreams plus reality plus determination equals a successful life. So oftentimes you find, here in our business that there's people who, they're unwilling to address where they really are. They want to be further ahead, and so therefore they're focused on, things that are outside of their, let's call it wheelhouse, right? And they're trying to do all these multi-million-dollar transactions, and they haven't even learned to manage their own money yet. They're not even managing their own funds properly. And so you got to kind of look at a reality and say, hey, I want to, and I'm seeing that my internet connection might be a little unstable here. I can actually get high speed put into my house today. So I'm over parked where I've got access to other internet. All right, hopefully I'm coming out all right. So you got to look at where you're really at, and for many people it's coming in, and when they first start, they may want to buy these multi-million-dollar 100+ unit apartment complexes, but it may start with just simply applying the velocity banking strategies in their life and, working on applying the credit strategies in their life, and then utilizing the success of that to go out there and start buying up some rental properties. And as they get comfortable and they're able to start managing those rental properties properly, then they can continue to upgrade from there. So you want your dreams, but you also want to be, reality, and you want to have reality there, and you want to put your determination behind it. So hyper-realist, dreams plus reality plus determination equals a successful life. So he says that an accurate understanding of reality is the essential foundation for any good outcome. So he says, be radically open-minded and radically transparent. So radical open-mindedness and radical transparency are invaluable for rapid learning and effective change. So you got to be open-minded. You be real about where you are, but be open-minded to somebody else's understanding of reality. He also says, don't let fears of what others think of you stand in your way. See, oftentimes, this is people is they are afraid of the judgment of other people, so they want to portray themselves different than they are, and so therefore they're not even being real with themselves about exactly where they're at in their life and in their business. And getting real, getting into that hyper realism is going to help you be more successful. So embracing radical truth and radical transparency will bring a more meaningful work and more meaningful relationships, because when you can admit exactly where you are, it's going to be a lot easier to move forward in the proper direction that way. One of the things that he talked about in some of his principles here is he said, look to nature to learn how reality works, because oftentimes we can get mixed up in our head and even in our opinion of others and others' opinions of us and other people's idea of reality. But don't get hung up on your views of how things should be, because you'll miss out on learning how they really are. So to be good, something must operate consistently with the laws of reality and contribute to the evolution of the whole. That is what is most rewarded. So if you look at nature, what is contributing, to the evolution of the whole? Evolution is the single greatest force in the universe and is the only thing that is permanent that drives everything. So you either evolve or die. So when you get real about where you're at, when you're able to embrace reality, then you can focus in and you can evolve to where you want to be. So evolving is life's greatest accomplishment and its greatest reward. And, there's a whole bunch more just on this one principle alone, just to kind of breeze through it. Understanding nature's practical lessons, which is maximize your evolution. No pain, no gain. It's a fundamental law of nature that in order to gain strength, you have to push past one's limits, which is painful. Okay, so you got to push your limits. It's going to be painful. Think of it like a muscle. When you're going out there and you're working out and you want to grow your muscles, well, you're going to stretch them. You're going to, push to where you actually tear the fibers. And then when they heal, they're going to become stronger than ever before. All right, own your outcomes and look at the machine from a higher level. So if you think about it yourself as a machine operating within a machine, you know that you have the ability to alter your machines to produce better outcomes. All right, let's move on here to principle number 2. And let me clear this out. Principle number 2 that I was reading about is he says, that use a 5-step process to get what you want out of life. So let me go through those 5 steps. First one, have clear goals. Clear goals. Second, identify and don't tolerate problems. Gotta get rid of them. All right. And number 3 is diagnose problems and get to their root causes. See, sometimes, well, we'll get back to this. I'm going to lay them all out here, and then we'll get into a little bit more on each one. So design a plan. Number 4, design a plan. And number 5 is push through to completion. All right, so getting back there, on having clear goals, he goes through a few different things here. Prioritize. While you can have virtually anything you want, you can't have everything you want, meaning you can't focus on everything and do everything all the time, right? He says, don't confuse goals with desires. Decide what you really want in life by reconciling your goals and your desires. Don't mistake the trappings of success for success itself, meaning some people confuse action with achievement, right? And, you got to make sure you're taking the proper actions. Never rule out a goal because you think it's unattainable, meaning it's okay, to put your dreams first. Remember, great expectations create great capabilities. Almost nothing can stop you from succeeding if you have flexibility and self-accountability. And then the last one on having clear goals is know how to deal well with your setbacks. It's important. It's as important as knowing how to move forward. On identifying and don't tolerate problems. Ray on here talks about view painful problems as potential improvements that are screaming at you. Don't avoid confronting problems because they are rooted in harsh realities that are unpleasant to look at. Be specific in identifying your problems. Don't mistake a cause of a problem with the real problem. Distinguish big problems, all small ones. And once you identify a problem, don't tolerate it. So moving on to that diagnosing problems, getting to their root cause. He says focus on what is before deciding what to do about it. So meaning figure out what's really going on, right? Distinguish proximate causes for the root causes. So you're going to start diving in deeper. Okay, I see that there's a problem. Where might this be coming from? Okay, now that I see that this may be causing it, what is the reason for that? And you keep diving deeper and deeper. And he also says, recognize that knowing what someone, including you, is like will tell you what you can expect from it. In other words, when people show you who they are, believe them, right? All right. And moving on to designing a plan. He says, go back before you go forward. So this is how we oftentimes, in fact, we may even do this on this call. We could, you can actually reverse engineer any goal that you have. So designing a plan, go back before you go forward. Think about your problem as a set of outcomes produced by a machine. Remember that you are typically many paths to achieving your goals. There are many paths to achieving your goals. And he says, think of your plan as being like a movie script and that you visualize what you will do through time. Write down your plan for everyone to see and measure your progress against it. This is one of the hardest things that I've found to get people to actually do in this business is to write down their goals and to track their daily actions and compare them. And the fact of the matter is, the easiest way to help somebody is if you know where they're going and you can see the trajectory that they're on. And unfortunately, most people aren't tracking those things. You know what's beautiful about that, though? We have something coming up that's going to help us see the reality of where everybody's at. And there's not going to be any denying it anymore because Helios is going to track our progress. How much education are we watching? How many, prospects are we talking to? And I think that's going to be a beautiful thing because it's going to force us to measure our progress against our goals. So recognize that it doesn't take a lot of time to design a good plan. And then the last thing is, with pushing through to completion, great planners who don't execute their plans go nowhere. Good work habits are vastly underrated. I find this a lot. You find people that they think they have amazing and incredible skills, and those skills are going to take them to succeed. And because they've succeeded at another business or another company that they feel like when they come into Renatus that it's going to be the same thing. And the fact of the matter is, without good habits, they're not going to succeed. So establish clear metrics and make certain that you are following your plan. Again, this is coming from a billionaire, guys. And he's saying that you've got to have metrics. You've got to track what you're doing. I know that there's many people right now participating in the EMT. And I think one of the most valuable things people can get out of that EMT training is learning what the metrics are and being forced, so to speak, right, if they want to stay a part of the training, being forced to actually track them. And when you start seeing what you're really doing, what you'll find is many times you're just simply not doing a lot. And so when you start doing more of the pay time type activities, that's where success comes in. And then another life principle that he puts in here is he says, remember that weaknesses don't matter if you find solutions. So look at the patterns of your mistakes and identify at which step in the 5-step process you typically fail. Everyone has at least one big thing that stands in the way of their success. Find yours and deal with it. Next success principle is be radically open-minded. So let me clear this real quick. And he says, be radically open-minded. So recognize your 2 barriers, your ego barrier, your 2 U's fight to control you, and understand your blind spot barrier. So recognizing your own barriers means you're going to have your ego barrier and you're going to have your blind spot barrier. These are the barriers that are stopping you, right? If you imagine this as a wall, right? We'll put a brick wall here. These are the things that are the barriers to your success. All right, so he says, practice radical open-mindedness. Sincerely believe that you might not know the best possible path and recognize that your ability to deal well with not knowing is more important than whatever it is that you do know. Let me just repeat that real quick. Know that the best possible path to recognize that your ability to deal well with not knowing is more important than whatever it is that you do know. Recognize that the decision making is a two-step process. First, take in all the relevant information, then decide. Don't worry about looking good. Worry about achieving your goal. When you find this with guys like Michael Huggins, he's not concerned with whether people like him. He's not concerned with whether, things that he does people don't like or think are silly. He cares about his results, what results that he's getting. Realize that you can't put out without taking in, and recognize that to gain the perspective that comes from seeing things through another's eyes, you must suspend judgment for a time. Only by empathizing can you properly evaluate another point of view. There's actually a quote out there, and I don't know exactly how it's said or who said it, but it's something that I've held true and have been able to see for a long time, which is that it takes the strongest of mind to be able to hold two opposing beliefs in your mind simultaneously at the same time. Most people, if it's opposed to their belief, they actually cannot even see another belief. They cannot even understand that somebody could have another belief, and that is a breakdown in communication in my in what I've seen as far as the world. So my opinion, that's a breakdown in our communication, and most people aren't willing to do that. So remember that you're looking for the best answer, not simply the best answer that you can come up with yourself. Be clear on whether you are arguing or seeking to understand, and think about which is most appropriate based on another's another's believability. So in other words, you got to set aside your ego long enough to understand that somebody else might have the solution to your problem. You've got to appreciate the art of a thoughtful disagreement. This is also an interesting thing. Oftentimes in leadership, specifically when we're doing our leadership meetings, there's discussion back and forth. And some people may look at it as if it's some type of an argument. And it's not an argument. I mean, it's actually very healthy to have disagreements, thoughtful disagreements. We're not attacking each other. You'll see people like myself and Michael Huggins and Mitch Nelson and Nate Lambert and John Neal all together, and somebody's saying one thing, and then the other guy's saying, well, what about this? And that's how we've created a lot of the systems that make Elevate run so well, and how we've created so many top income earners is we just appreciate the thoughtful disagreement, and we're able to set aside our egos and take in what other people might see. So Ray says, triangulate your view with believable people who are willing to disagree. Plan for the worst case scenario and make it as good as possible. This is what I'm always doing, especially in my real estate dealings, is I'm trying to look at the worst possible outcome. And if things look good as I'm imagining the worst possible outcome, then they're probably going to be pretty good overall. All right. Recognize the signs of closed-mindedness and open-mindedness that you should watch for. So if you're dealing with somebody who has a closed mind, oftentimes they're not going to be able to help you as much when you're talking about discussion and those types of things. So understand how you can become radically open-minded. Regularly use pain as your guide towards quality reflection. Make being open-minded a habit. Get to know your blind spots. We all have them. If a number of different believable people say you are doing something wrong and you're the only one who doesn't see it that way, assume that you're probably biased, right? Meditate. Be evidence-based and encourage others to be the same. Do everything in your power to help others be open-minded. So going back to that, being evidence-based and encouraging others to be the same. This also goes back to some of the ways that we've grown this team to such great heights is we let numbers do the talking. You know what? If I have a great idea and Dane Clark has a great idea and they're opposing ideas, it's real easy to make the determination of which idea we're first. Who's got the income? Who's got the team? Who's seeing success in their business in that moment, right? And that's always going to trump. I mean, that evidence-based decision-making is key. So use evidence-based decision-making tools. Know when it's best to stop fighting and have faith in your decision-making process. The next principle is understand that people are wired differently. So you'll notice that a lot of the principles that come from Ray, by the way, are about people, meaning how to interact with people and how people work overall, like science-based. So understand that people are wired differently is principle number 4. And he says, understand the power that comes from knowing how you and other people are wired. There is power that comes from it. We are born with attributes that can both help us and hurt us, depending on their application. In fact, we've probably noticed this, you probably noticed this many times, your greatest strengths are also your greatest weaknesses, and vice versa. Those things that are your greatest weaknesses oftentimes also hold a whole lot of your power. So meaningful work and meaningful relationships aren't just nice things we choose for ourselves. They are genetically programmed into us. Understand the great brain battles and how to control them to get what you want. So let me get to this one, because this is something that I think is key. The great brain battles. Oops, great brain battles. Whoa, where did it go? Oh. The great brain battles, and that looks like a V for some reason. Get that out of there. All right, I'm gonna put these down here because I think that this is something that really stuck out to me, was these great brain battles. So let me just get back to them. All right, first one is realize that the conscious mind is in battle with the subconscious mind. So this is a constant thing. Your conscious is battling your subconscious. The most constant struggle between feeling and thinking. All right, reconcile your feelings with your thinking. And so that's kind of a principle there. Choose your habits well. Oops. Beliefs. Pretend that says beliefs. All right. Train your lower level you with kindness and persistence to build the right habits. Understand the differences between the right brain and the left brain. And understand how much the brain can and cannot change. So these are some of the great brain battles that you want to understand, and you want to be able to work within. And there's a lot of tools, a lot of principles that you guys can utilize to do that. So guys, I'm realizing that there is a whole lot more principles that I went through, and there's no way I'm going to be able to get to it. So I want to go back to one of the principles that he talked about, where he said, when you're making a plan, you go backwards before you go forward. And so I'd love to have some participation here. Let's reverse engineer somebody's goal. So let me see who's chatting in here. Pete, I don't know why you're not seeing what I'm sharing. I hope everybody else is showing what I'm sharing. I am sharing my screen here. And so here's what I'd like to do. Who would like to participate with me in reverse engineering a goal? Preferably somebody that can come off of mute. We're going to do this quick. It's going to be a process. All right, I hear somebody off of mute. Who's this? Is it Sandra?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to participate.
Okay, perfect. So do me a favor, share with me a goal that you have for this 2019.
I want to be able to how do you say? I want to be able to
Let's go with a financial
interesting.
goal just to
Yeah,
make it
it's good.
easier.
Okay, I want to be able to become a 5-star and be in a deal of a fix and flip.
So let's just choose one focus so far. In 2019,
Okay, then I'll be a 5-star.
you want to generate through marketing or not authentic.
Yes.
Okay, 5-star.
Yes.
Okay, so if we're gonna look at 5-star, and you're talking 2019, so you've got what, 7, 8 more months left.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
So if we reverse engineer that to become a 5-star, what education do you own right now?
I own the Extreme combo.
Okay, perfect. So you have the X combo, which we all know if you own the X combo, then your bucket has been chopped, right? And your commission has went into the bucket. So essentially, the fastest path to that 5-star is going to be 2 combo sales.
Okay.
So let me ask you, Sandra, how many people are you getting to events on a weekly basis or a monthly basis?
Right now, I'm committed to bring at least one person with me every week.
Okay. Have you been doing that already?
Yes.
Okay. For how many weeks?
Like 2 weeks in a row.
Okay. So 1 person per week, and you've done it for 2 weeks so far. Right. I'm just circling the things that are reality versus goals and what the potential is.
Yes.
So combo, you've brought 1 person per week. You've done it for 2 weeks. Tell me about those.
I'm sorry, cutting off. It's cutting off. Can you repeat again what you said?
Happens next? Where are they at in the
process?
Yes. Where are those people at in the process?
One is in the active box. It has money, but it doesn't want to. He wants to keep it as a silent investor. And another one has no money, no time. And another one that I have, it's been in the not interested box.
Gotcha. Okay. Not a problem. So let's say, and up a little bit, but if we continue to do your numbers, you would be able to actually factor this in for yourself and you'd be able to do the math. But let's say that it's going to take you people. You're going to have to get one.
Yeah, I can really hear you. It's cutting off.
Right now you're telling
Yeah, breaking up really bad. Not able to hear you. Hello?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can't hear anything either, except for you, for us.
Can anyone hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay.
I think he's
Yes, I can hear.
disconnecting and trying to reconnect.
Mm.
Hey guys, just letting you guys know, my name is Brian Wright. I'm in Central Texas, and he was talking about the EMT training earlier, and I highly encourage anybody. I think they do it once a year. I would highly encourage anybody that wants to take their business to the next level, because that training has seriously changed my life, and we're only 1 week in. We got 5 more weeks to go. You know, we're with the top income earners, Michael Huggins, Nate Lambert, Mitch Nelson, Dan Clark, Christion Sadler is going to be one of the instructors. So I highly encourage anybody that, you know, sees it either next year or when the next time they have a training to get involved, because like he said, you know, we can get lost in our business sometimes. We can, you know, we can not feel like we got the horns and all that stuff. And like he was saying earlier, you know, you kind of get a sense of what you're not doing. And that's what happened to me.
Back in here.
Okay, he's back in. But EMT
Do you
training.
have to have X combo
you guys
to
hear me all
go
right?
to that training?
No, you do not.
Okay, thank you.
Is that
All
the
right,
same
you
as the
guys there?
ATM training? Richard
Yes.
Stockett, ATM training. Is this ETM different?
ETM, Elevating Marketing Training. Yes.
EMT, okay.
EMT, yes.
Okay, cool. How do we get involved with that?
Hello, can
Thank
you guys
you.
hear me all right? Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yes, sir. We're good.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello, hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I apologize for everybody. Again, my internet service just dropped here unexpectedly. And so Sandra, getting back, reverse engineering. Let's say it takes you 8 people, or we could even go with 10 at this point. If it's going to take you 10 people, you know, brought to presentations before you find that 1X combo, then how many weeks is it going to take you to be able to achieve that 5-star status? Now, Sandra, I think that you'll find when you start continuing to be consistent with bringing people to the presentations, you'll realize that your goal can probably move a lot faster. But even if you just continued to bring 1 person per week, and it took you 10 people just to get 1X combo, you're looking at 20 weeks. So where are we at in the year so far? Let's just pull up a calendar here. And if we count forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So if you consistently brought 1 person per week and it took you 10 people to get 1X combo, you would be 5-star by September 19th of this year. So that would be just after Leaders Retreat. I don't know, Sandra, it might be worth your time to just bring 1 extra person, a couple of those to help yourself show up at Leaders Retreat. Anyways, hope that helps folks. I know we cut out here and in and out of time that I can stay on and make up for it, but appreciate you guys all being on here, and hopefully that helps.